What is happening, everybody? Josh here from Spawn Fly Fish, and we're back with another tying tutorial. Today we are taking the Yummy platform, bringing the shad to life, and with that we are going to be highlighting the new Fulling Mill Marabou. This is a must-have, and this pattern is an absolutely must-have, so follow along. Alrighty, in the vise we have a Daiichi 2581 in a size 2. This is going to look eerily familiar. This is out of our Yummy series. So today we are bringing yet another Yummy to life. The Rainbow Yummy is one of our most popular videos. It's a pattern we offer here in the shop. And we also have the Brown Trout Yummy in our Yummy series. And this is just one more featuring some awesome Marabou here today from Fulling Mill. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the tail section of this fly. And what we're going to do to start with is we're going to take some of the white Marabou here. We don't need a ton of the white. We are going to rotate this up. We want this one in the middle. So just a loop, loop. Gonna have a lot going on in this tail section in terms of Marabou. Not really a lot, but we're gonna have some different elements here. So, all right, that is tied in. Don't need to get anything crazy. And then on the bottom here, we're going to take some of the golden olive. So, note that all of these companies that make Marabou have some different, maybe ideas isn't the right word, but different tones on their colors. So as we do too here at Spawn Fly Fish. So note that when you're getting a color, just because it says it's black doesn't mean it's black. It could be a variation, and we just want to highlight that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take I just want a pinch of this on the bottom. This will be the bottom of the fly, and we just need a little bit of this Marabou here, and we're going to tie that in and give it some of that contrasting profile in the tail section. Snip off that tag and tie it down. Alrighty, we will rotate that back. And the next thing we're going to take here is some Slate Gray. This is a really cool color. Fan of this one from Fulling Mill. And we are again not going to go crazy on this. This will complement the rest of the fly when it all comes together. But we do just want some of those markings on this tail section here. So again, we got just a little bit on there. We're going to tie that on top. So we get that kind of 3 tones here. That's what we're looking for. Hopefully you can see that here on the vise. But it's going to be a really, really nice color combo. And the type of Yummy that it is going to become will all make sense here shortly, hopefully. Alright, next thing we're going to do, I like to pluck this off at the beginning so that I can see how the fly is going to look. But I'll put that in the vise so it hopefully stays in focus for you guys. But make sure you do this with your fingers. Don't come in with some scissors. And we're just going to take these ends and we're just going to pluck away. You don't need to have all of them in your hand at once. Loosen it up and you'll be able to get a little bit better pull there. So we're going to shorten that up just with our fingers there. Sweet. Maybe a teeny bit more. Great. That will do it. Alright, as you've seen in most of our videos, can't be a video with Spawn Fly Fish without a little Spawn product involved. So to start off with, we're going to use some Spawn Simi Seal in white silver. And although you guys have seen me do some loops as of lately, I'm going right back to the clump and dump for this pattern. And we are going to work this dubbing up to the eye of the hook here. Alrighty. Fail it back. And just make our way forward a little bit. It looks like there's going to be a lot of gaps. I've never had any issues, especially when this is wet. This is all going to flow back and look really, really nice. For those of you that want to do a loop, this will be your time. Fill in a loop, straight white spawn semi-seal, white and silver spawn semi-seal, and work your way up to just behind the eye. I really want some of this bulked up profile, so I'm going to do it this way, just like the original Rainbow Yummy. Alright, 3 ought to do it, so I'm going to come in here with one more clump and then dump of spawn semi-seal, and that rear portion of the fly will be done. So we're doing right behind the eye there. As you can see, as we veil it back, that eye will become perfectly visible. Do not crowd the eye. We want that eye to flow freely because this is just the tail section, so we're going to want that to be able to move freely, especially on the jig shank platform that we are about to put it on. Alrighty, so just a nice little clean finish there. Whip finish. One more for good measure. Alright, and we will take this out of the vise and bring on the next step. Alright, so we have the tail section here done, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a spawn 20mm 60-degree jig shank with a spawn super tungsten bead there. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in, and this is why it's really important to keep that eye clean. See that smooth? We want that tail section to be able to move freely. So what we're going to do, this is the platform that this fly is going to be built on. We're going to unhook here, and we're just going to jump right into things down here. So that's going to do it. If you have a rubber band, this would be a good opportunity. This is an offset hook, but hopefully it'll stay still for the video. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to secure this bead on the neck of the shank here, and this is an important step here. We don't want that thing to move around, so what we're going to do is come in here with some lead-free wire wraps. We're going to do 4 wraps, and we're going to slide that in, and we're going to tuck that tail wrap to create basically 5 wraps, and it will solidify that bead up that neck of the shank and look just like we want it to. So the stage is set. We're going to come in here underneath and bring that arm down. I'm going to trim off my tag end. And I'm going to just straighten that out a bit for you guys at home. And then I'm going to come in here with some 45s. We don't have a lot of room to get in behind that bead, but hopefully you can see here I'm doing some angled wraps. And then I'm going to come in with some straight ones overlapping and just really lock that into place. Alright, cool. Everything so far so good. Right back to it here with spawn flyfish. We got the spawn semi-seal in white silver, and I'm just going to line up these fibers. This part for me with these flies is there is some importance to this, why I prefer this versus just a standard loop here. I want these fibers to protrude past this bend and curvature of the back end of the shank. So that's why a lot of times you'll see me get as close to that bend as possible right here, and I will veil that over, and it's just going to keep the fluid movement that we want in this fly. So we want that orientation to move freely up and down and side to side, but we don't want it to go crazy. So that's going to give a little buffer zone to keep it that natural presentation that a fish is going to have as it sort of jigs and limps through like this one's going to. Alrighty, we're going to keep coming in here with some clumping up, some spawn semi-seal. And we will come in afterwards and brush all this out, make it look really nice and pretty. But for the time being, just keep clumping and dumping. Alright, we're We're going to get a little more here, and then we're going to add our first element, which is always in these yummy patterns. Which is the Biot. Alright, cool. So we want this, we're going to have a little bit bigger eye here. So what we want is we want this Biot to protrude back a little ways so that you can really see it. So coming in here, I got just a standard black Goose Biot in black. And I'm going to look for the biggest ones possible. If you got a turkey Biot, you could definitely use it right now. But this is a smaller pattern here, so I'm just going with the Goose. And if you have a really nice pair of scissors, you can round these edges and it'll make this even more advanced or lifelike. So I'm going to come in there and just kind of trim those off just a tiny bit here. I don't have the nicest pair of scissors with me right now, but just give it a little more of a natural look to it. Alright, I'm going to turn my vise on its side here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with this Biot and I'm going to place it like so. And it might look weird. Here, I'll turn it so you guys can see it. It might look like it's going to go out and protrude a long ways, but this is going to get covered up. But we want that black line to be visible. It's going to look, what we're going for is a dot. And we are tying this in backwards, as you can see, compared to how we've tied some of the other Biots in this yummy series. Cool. I'll turn that so you can see it here. And that is how you're going to do that. And then I'm going to come in on my side and do the exact same thing. Make sure that they're even. And trim. Yahtzee. Alright. I'm just going to really lock that Biot in place. I do not want that thing to go anywhere. And I'm going to hop right back into some Spawn Simi Seal. And white silver. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room to the front of the fly here. Don't need quite that much. If I stack it up right next to it, it's going to cover that. So we're going to give a little bit of space in here. We can always go in and thin this out, but we want that black to be very visible. We're going to veil that back, and again, before we really wrench it down, we want to make sure that that black line is visible, and it is. So far, so good. Alright, now we can tighten that down and really come in with some solidifying wraps. And we are getting pretty close here. So, I like to encompass these yummy patterns with a softer dubbing over the top. So what we're going to do next is we're going to come in here with some softer dubbing, which today we are going to use the Bruiser blend from Flyfish Food. And just thinning that out. And this is all going to go right on top. Be sure not to cover up that Biot. It's going to give it a little profile. It's going to encase some of this thing. Nice. Alrighty, and then we're going to turn it over and we're going to add a little more, but on the bottom we're going with a tan. And like I said, the colors that the different companies name things might not always align, so it's always good to get a good feel for how these colors are going to pair together. And I like this combo. Just bring that back. And flip her over. All right. Our shad yummy is coming to life. If you didn't know it was going to be a shad at this point, I let you down, but so far I think that it's looking pretty shaddy. All right, the last element here that we're going to do, we're going to connect all of that together with some more Marabou here from Fulling Mill in that slate gray. Again, this isn't a time to get a whole bunch of Marabou. We just want to connect this pattern and bring it all together. So we have a little bit right there. You can reverse tie this in right now if you'd like. I'm not going to. I'm just going to do it on the top here and bring it right down behind the bead. And solidify that in front. I'll come in here and trim this out with some needle nose scissors. All right. Let me just do a quick check on your side. So far, so good. Quick check on my side. Not bad. So the next step we're going to do, I'm going to throw in a couple whip finishes here, clean up this eye, and then we are going to add eyes to it. So really tighten that down. We're going to come in here and whip finish. You don't need a ton of whip finish here because we're going to come in with super glue and then resin as well. So next thing we're going to do here is add some eyes. Take that off. For the eyes, we'll be using an 8mm eye. This is a living eye. And then we got some super glue here. We're just going to come in right on the very side. And that's why when I talked about adding that Bruiser blend here, I said it doesn't go on the side. We don't want to cover up that Goose Biot. This is going to give us some thread base to really push this eye into, and it's going to keep that visible. So that is the thought process behind there, not just going on a whim there and telling you something for the sake of telling you something. So we're going to push that down, and it's going to grab onto that thread core and really give it a strong foundation. So I'll turn that towards you so you can see that. And that's going to be exactly what we want. Turn it back to the other side. I'm going to come in here on this side. Careful with these super glue bottles. This thing's not coming out, and then every now and then it'll just shoot a ton out. So less is more when it comes to the super glue. I've had some absolute disasters with the super glue. Alrighty, just behind this bead, again, we're pushing into that core. We want to adhere down in there. We want those materials to flare out on the sides of it. Sweet. Alright. Just let that set for a half second here. And we're going to get our bottle of Loon Fly Finish in thin. And we are going to get our big ol' light here. This thing is a powerhouse. And what we're going to do is be very cautious here when we add this. And we're just doing a really thin amount here on the top to solidify this, and on the bottom just kind of encapsulate the whole thing. Just add a little, let it kind of drift down in there. Might have blown it, but we'll see. We'll wait it. Yeah, no, that's going to get in there just fine. Just let it soak in there before you hit it if you added too much, and then come in with the boom. So this thing is gonna get chewed on. The species that like to eat this species are not friendly, so we want to make sure that this thing is in it for the long haul. Just give it a little turn. Cool. Then I'm going to come in, do the same on the bottom. The bottom we have a little more leeway. That marabou feather's not going to get in the way. It's not going to change the flow, so we're going to come in here a little more generous. Like so. That's going to soak into the materials. Bring that eye in, and we will hit it again with this UV light. Alrighty, that really does it. This was a great pattern for us all year long. This yummy platform has been one that has been a winner time in and time out, and there's so many different species that you can replicate with it. Again, this is the premium marabou from Foaling Mill. This is an awesome pattern full of a huge array of colors, and as you can see, it brings this pattern to life perfectly. Be sure to hit like, be sure to hit subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.